Correct.
That's something you never told police. Not even to this day as you sit here right now. Correct?
I guess.
You were actually asked by your Aunt Naomi when allegations and accusations started coming up about your Uncle John having any sort of sexual relationship with your sister. You were asked by your aunt if he had done anything to you.
I was never asked by her.
You claim as you sit here that she never asked you if anything inappropriate happened between the two of you. Let me finish the question before you answer.
No, I would just ask that counsel not be argumentative with the witness.
Why don't you just rephrase the question?
Judge, I was just trying to stop to make sure that the record was clear, but
I understand. I'm not faulting anybody. I'm just saying just rephrase the question.
of course. You're claiming that your Aunt Naomi never asked you whether there was any sort of sexual encounters, interaction, or anything between you and Mr. Quiles.
I don't recall her asking.
Okay. You don't recall her asking that question at all?
No,
Is your statement that she did not ask you that?
not that aunt.
Not that what?
Aunt.
Other aunts asked you, though,
Yes.
and you told them nothing ever happened.
Correct.
All right, let me talk about the first encounter that you described. You stated you're at the beach, that you believe it was yourself, your sister, IS, and Mr. Quiles and his daughter, NQ, correct?
Correct.
But in fact, your brothers were there as well, KM and SG, correct?
No.
You don't recall telling police that your brothers were also present at that beach?
I don't recall them being there.
All of these people are on the beach, and you're claiming that just you were in the water when this sexual encounter occurred.
In that area, yes.
So they were all sitting on the beach, didn't notice anything going on in the water whatsoever.
No.
You never told any police officer about this beach incident.
I don't recall.
It wasn't until you were in your deposition in February of 2022, more than 3 years later, that you disclosed this beach incident, correct?
I'm not good with dates.
It wasn't any time close to when this incident occurred. And it definitely wasn't in that 4 months after conversation that you had with Detective Milowicki where you came clean about everything that happened between you and Mr. Quiles, correct?
Correct.
As far as the incident that you described that happened in the van, today you testified that you were headed to Winn-Dixie and that he took you to some undisclosed or isolated area. You don't recall where that was or anything along those lines?
No.
Do you recall telling police that at one point it was in the abandoned parking lot near the Winn-Dixie?
I don't recall.
Do you recall telling police that at some point his daughter was in the car with you during some incident?
I don't recall.
Does Mr. Quiles have any, since you have testified that you all have had these sexual encounters, does Mr. Quiles have any distinct markings on his genitalia?
Not that I recall.
You've stated this throughout your testimony on direct, but I'm going to ask it to you again. At no point in time throughout this time period that you allege that these incidents occurred, did you ever mention anything to anyone, correct?
No.
Even in this incident that you allege where your Aunt Naomi was awake and within talking distance, you never said anything to her?
No.
You never yelled out, you never did anything along those lines?
No.
Even after your sister went missing, there were allegations of sexual abuse of your sister, you still, even then when you were asked, did not tell the truth about what you now claim happened. Correct?
Correct.
That's a serious situation going on if your sister's not being found, correct?
You think?
And you still didn't think that, hey, maybe I should disclose this information so that they know, hey, Mr. Quiles, he's been sexually abusing me and my sister. But you didn't think to do that, did you?
No.
You would agree that there has been little to no consistency in what you allege to have happened between you and Mr. Quiles.
No.
You started off saying he never did anything to you, correct?
Correct.
You changed, though, to what happened, when it happened, how many times it happened, who was there when these things happened. So many details of these incidents that you laid out vary depending on the day that you're asked. Got to be a lot to keep a track of, correct?
Correct.
Nothing further.
SS, do you go about your life wanting to think about the defendant sexually abusing you?
No.
Is it in fact something that you don't even want to think about?
Correct.
Do you want to forget about it?
Yes.
And did you ever tell anyone what the defendant did to you?
No.
Did you ever go to your mom and tell her?
No.
Were you in fact the one that got confronted about it?
Yes.
And was that because your mom had found something?
Yes.
And based upon that, did your mom then confront you?
Yes.
Had your mom not found something and had not confronted you, would you have told?
No.
Were you afraid to tell anything?
Yes.
So you did not freely tell this information, did you?
No, I didn't.
Were you also protecting your sister?
Yes.
And why?
I thought she was going with my grandma, and
Can you, I know it's hard. Take a moment and breathe. I just want to make sure we all hear you, okay?
I thought she was going with my grandma, and I wanted to keep our friendship.
Did you think if you told about the sexual abuse that your sister would be mad at you?
Yeah.
And did you want to keep her secret from the world?
Yeah.
If you could.
Yeah.
But you couldn't, could you?
No.
Your mom found out.
Yeah.
Did your mom ask you any details about the sexual abuse when this first came out, when your mom found out?
Yes.
Did you want to tell her much?
No.
And did your mom respect that?
Yes.
And this was your mom finding out about the defendant sexually abusing you. That happened while your sister is missing. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Why in April were you ready to tell more about the sexual abuse?
She wasn't coming back.
Do you need a moment?
I'm okay.
I'm almost done, I promise. Is that when you knew you could break the promise to your sister?
Yeah.
And is that why you're willing to tell all about the defendant sexually abusing you?
Yeah.
Nothing further.
Ma'am, thank you for your testimony.
A warm welcome to our guest for this hour, retired NYPD executive and author of Once a Cop, Corey Pegues, and former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani. Gentlemen, I want to say, wait. Did the defense just misstep? Because we know it is typical for a victim of sexual abuse to be groomed, embarrassed, maybe threatened, shamed, not to disclose. So when I hear cross-examination that frankly was aggressive against this victim, according to the victim's testimony on the stand, saying, well, you didn't tell your mother, did you? And it's a lot to keep track of, and you didn't tell anybody. Well, of course she didn't tell anybody. That's to be expected when you're a victim of this kind of sexual abuse. Corey, let me start with you, please.
Yes. Good afternoon to both of you. She was very brutal. It was a very brutal cross-examination, and I think it might backfire on her. She was very aggressive.
What did you think, Nima? Will it backfire? Was it aggressive from your perspective as a former federal prosecutor?
Ashley, I agree with you and Corey. I mean, it was shameful, victim shaming. You know, this is the psychology of an abuse victim, someone who has now lost her sister, and both her and her sister were sexually abused, at least allegedly, at the hands of their uncle, one of them becoming a murderer. So to go after a victim like that aggressively, I understand that defense attorneys have to do their job and advocate on behalf of their client. But personally, as someone who's prosecuted sex crimes, as someone who's represented victims of sexual assault and sexual abuse, it was shameful. And if I'm on that jury, I end up punishing that defendant because of how his lawyer treated that victim. I mean, I think it was over the top, and I really liked how the prosecution came back and redirected her and explained to the jury why, when you've been sexually abused by a close family member, you're not going to run to the police. You're not going to go tell your mom. I mean, this is unfortunately typical for these types of cases.
Do you think it requires now for the state to call an expert to testify about how a sex abuse victim responds, reacts, doesn't disclose, is shamed, is groomed, is threatened? I mean, I'm a little infuriated by the way the cross-examination was handled. It's her decision. It's her strategy, but I have to say, when you hear someone explaining the details of the horrific abuse at the hands of her own uncle, it really, I think, is just not a good way to go. Nima, let's go reverse order. Let me start with you.
I agree, Ashley. I do call an expert, and there's plenty of them that'll testify about why victims don't come forward, why you don't have those contemporaneous reports. And like you said, I think anyone who's either been through this or knows someone who understands why sexual assault and sexual abuse, these are two of the most underreported crimes in this country. And it's really because of this. Victims are re-victimized again when they tell their story. They're accused of lying. They're accused of fabrication. They're cross-examined in this really aggressive manner. So, you know, I think from the prosecution's perspective, even though that was terrible for your victim witness, I think that it really did a disservice to the defense, because if I'm on that jury and if I'm watching here on Court TV, I'm appalled that someone would treat a childhood victim of sexual abuse like this.
Yeah, I agree with you, absolutely. All right, Corey, let me tap into your expertise and talk about the particular charges this defendant is facing and what some viewers are saying is a lack of evidence, because the sexual battery against Iyana is one piece, but also 2 charges of murder, the murder of her as well as the murder of her unborn baby. But the defense says, and it's true, she hasn't been found. The unborn baby hasn't been found. They don't know where she is. And there's no forensic evidence, as I understand it, connecting him to the actual murder of her and the unborn baby. Is this something you think a state can overcome when there's been a thorough investigation, but none of that's been found?
Oh, yeah, they can overcome it. This is definitely a circumstantial evidence case, but the testimony of the brother is going to be vital to this. Their history, any other witnesses that have seen them together or she disclosed the information to. This is a hard puzzle, but you can put the puzzle together and get the conviction.
Well, I hope, based on what we've heard so far, because it does sound like it's a compelling case for the state and the evidence that they have.